Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 60 something. We were just discussing the fact that, once we cross the threshold of the 50s and into the 60s, we get unique challenges, and we would like to have a platform on which we can discuss them, just to educate ourselves and each other, and also to find ways of being proactive. I think all of us who are older have so much that we can offer the younger people, and we need to be able to do that by being healthy and being able to look after our health. And I truly believe that this platform will grow. Thank you for being here. My name is Dr. Esa Zanambasi, medical doctor by training. I've been a medical doctor for close on to 40 years now, since I stepped out of medical school, since I did my undergraduate qualification. And I have seen a lot of changes in disease profile and the approach to medicine. It is still a noble profession, but I think, and I'm being as candid as I can be, we all need to take personal responsibility. And the way to do that is actually by getting as much information as you can. And I am blessed and privileged to have been introduced to a concept. And that's basically because I am very, very interested, actually passionate about health and wellness, and particularly nutrition. So today we thought we would look at factors contributing to the development of cancer, and applying what we learn in life to create awareness and prevent disease wherever possible. You know, we are led to believe that aging should be fraught with all sorts of diseases, and perhaps, maybe, but is it necessarily the truth? I don't think so, personally. Anyway, I want to open by talking about environmental toxicity and the effects of exposure to radiation, toxic metals, and microorganisms. And that is what has happened in the world since the turn of the last century, since industrialization, and perhaps also since a lot of urbanization started happening. So we need to know something about the immune system. That is our innate, and I call it God-given, protection mechanism within our body. The immune system protects against infectious agents, allergens, and toxins. And what happens is that there is increased production of white blood cells and antibodies in the event of exposure to whatever is attacking the body, if I can say that. And it is therefore so crucial that this system remains alert. And I want to start there because my interest in nutrition, lifestyle, wellness was occasioned by my settling in HIV medicine. I've spent many, many, many years in HIV medicine, and I've also done a stint in oncology. I felt that those were the areas that are impacted directly or indirectly by the way we live. So, just going on, kidneys and the liver have very important roles to play to rid the body of toxins. Now, how does the body respond? Isn't this interesting? The body generally will respond with watery eyes, perhaps nausea, diarrhea, ringing in the ears, stuffiness. A lot of people you will hear say, I have sinus, and they'll go to the doctor and say, yes, this is the diagnosis, sinus, okay? And all those other things, headaches, fatigue, eczema, depression, a normalization of chronic flu-like symptoms. And I just want to put it to all of us that perhaps we should keep top of mind the very real possibility of environmental toxins, given urbanization and the way we are living today. So let us discuss free radicals. What are free radicals? Free radicals are atoms or groups of atoms that can cause damage to cells, impairing the immune function and leading to infections and various degenerative diseases, such as what we are seeing very, very commonly, cardiovascular diseases and cancer. So we also are so aware that the abundance of free radicals in our environment and within our bodies are the basis for the aging process. So free radicals are actually those groups of atoms or an atom which contains at least one unpaired electron, and that electron will start looking to be paired again, and that is what causes havoc, absolute havoc. So further, reactive oxygen species, those are produced by normal metabolic processes within our bodies. One can liken them to exhaust fumes from the production of energy by our cells and the little organelles in the cells called the mitochondria, which produce the energy in our cells. Then other examples of free radicals, for example, from external sources. I've talked about air pollution, but you can have X-rays and electromagnetic fields. And those are becoming increasingly common as a reason for producing free radicals. So the unfortunate thing in modern day life, we can say that perhaps we don't have a choice, but many arise from the choices that we make. So again, free radicals. Free radicals bond very easily with other compounds so that they can cause dramatic changes in the body and can cause a lot of damage. Each free radical may actually exist for a micro second or a tiny fraction of a second, but the damage it leaves can be irreversible. So all this drives to one thing, and that is that we have to learn to create resilience so that our bodies have the capacity, our cells within our bodies have the capacity to bounce back after exposure. So where do we find these environmental toxins and free radicals? Everyday things like the pesticides, herbicides, insecticides and fungicides, fertilizers, within our water, because those seep into the soil and into the water, and they're also emitted in the air. All of us who live in urban areas know that, yeah, exposure to car fumes on a daily basis. And then the food we are eating. Modern food has additives and preservatives and colorings, and they're ripening agents. You know, it isn't like those days when all of us on this platform were much younger and were getting really organic food, probably from the plant itself, from the, growing in the garden. Now things have changed. And then the things we use, personal care, the household cleaning products, all the cosmetics, Even bedding and carpet and furniture these days are infused and sprayed with chemicals that are potentially toxic. And then, of course, these habits of cigarette and cigar smoking are becoming fewer and further between, but there are still some people who still smoke. So let us consider the difference between allergies and environmental toxicity. Okay, they may present in a very similar fashion. The symptoms are similar, but the mechanisms differ in that allergies are as a result of an overreaction of the immune system to a substance, often referred to as an allergen. Whereas environmental toxicity, this is not just an immune system reaction, but it is direct poisoning of cells, so that those cells no longer function normally, especially if they can't bounce back due to lack of resilience. And that can be the common reason, the aging process, as we are always told. But again, I want to argue that it needn't be that way. So please note that an allergic reaction subsides when the offending allergen ceases, whereas environmental toxicity can persist long afterwards, depending on the type of the toxin and the extent of damage. And I'll give an example of a heavy metal poison called mercury. There are others like arsenic and lead, there are others. But I've taken this as an example, just as a case in point. It is highly toxic, it is cumulative, it is found in soil and in water and in the food supply. For example, grain and seeds are treated with methyl mercury chloride bleaches as part of the process of preparing them before planting. Then, mercury is also found in everyday products such as cosmetics, printer ink, fabric softeners, some medications even, some paints, plastics, polishes, preservatives, okay? So in bygone years, it was, and perhaps even today, it was very common in dentistry, but most dentists are now moving away from that. So because we said we were wanting to discuss cancers, I want to focus mainly on prevention and how we can be proactive. But there are 4 broad categories of cancers, just so that we know. Carcinomas will affect the skin, the mucous membranes, glands, and internal organs. Then leukemias are cancers of the blood and blood-forming tissues. And then for muscles and connective tissues and bones, we call those sarcomas. And then there is lymphomas, which affect the lymphatic system. So with that in our minds, let's move on to discuss the importance of being proactive and actually saying to yourself, I'm going to get rid of as many of the free radicals as I can. So a good place to start is to remove the following. Foods that are high glycemic, or with a high glycemic index. In other words, they quickly convert into sugar, such as refined carbohydrates and sugar itself. And then processed meats, because they have preservatives in them, and those combine with amino acids in the body to form highly cancer-causing nitrosamines. Those are really something else altogether. And then, of course, we know that in modern day, there's a lot of cooking oils and margarines and things like that. And so one way to one thing to resolve is not to reuse them. But Sometimes you can't control that. And then to limit the amount of red meat in the diet, or to limit generally the amount of meat, and to introduce more plant foods in your diet, for the reason that plant foods are protective. Okay, so reducing free radicals in your life further: avoid smoking, limit alcohol consumption. You notice I'm not setting rules, I'm not laying down the law, I'm just making suggestions. Manage stress. Manage stress. And you know, it is known that a very stressful lifestyle actually generates a lot of free radicals, and it also causes a lot of hormonal imbalances that can tip the body's balance towards making the body more conducive to the development of cancer. So when all is said and done, we are responsible to choose, and to choose carefully. And later on, I will make a few suggestions of how we can change our buying habits. And perhaps I will use testimonies and stories that I have. So now I want to introduce antioxidants. And you might wonder, what are antioxidants? Well, those are the protectors that we want to share and to learn about. But cells that we are made of trillions and trillions of cells. A normal cell is exposed, okay? There's no way, unless we lived in a bubble or on another planet, we will be exposed. So free radicals arrive, and they lead to oxidative damage and stress, and damage the cell. And so antioxidants, the abundance of antioxidants in our diet will protect those cells, and I'm going to show you in another slide. Otherwise, free radicals include, as I've pointed out, stress, toxins, drugs, and oxygen itself is a very highly oxidizing agent. Okay, so if you have a lot of antioxidants on board, that can protect the body. So antioxidants are a group of vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, hormones, and enzymes that help to protect the body from the effects of free radicals. There are also free radical scavengers that are found in our bodies that occur naturally, and these neutralize free radicals. There are 4 important enzymes that can do that, and those are the names over there. And the big one that we often talk about is called glutathione peroxidase, or glutathione. And that is just so that we know, but this is the picture of what happens if there is a free radical. An antioxidant will surrender an electron to come and pair with an unpaired electron that we said is the hallmark of a free radical, an unpaired electron. So, examples of various biochemical compounds with antioxidant properties: we have vitamins, we call them primary antioxidants, we have minerals, and then we have a special class called phytonutrients. Phyto means plant, and nutrients are nutrients from plants, called carotenoids, flavonoids, and cruciferous compounds. And those are the large classes of those. And then we have herbs. An example is ginkgo biloba, which is known to protect the brain cells and the brain blood vessels. And then we have others, such as amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. Those are powerful antioxidants. And then we have other things like flavonoid in green tea called catechin. It is very protective against cancer and as well as Alzheimer's, and it maintains the health of the blood and blood vessels as well. And then there's a hormone called melatonin, which is released when we are sleeping at night. And that is important to link the two, because a lot of people get by with very, very little sleep, and they are setting themselves up for developing cancer because melatonin production is hampered, and it is also a free radical scavenger, and it has the ability to permeate any cell and to protect the nucleus of that cell, allowing the cell to repair. And all that activity happens when we are asleep. Melatonin also stimulates that big antioxidant called glutathione, and all those are tied together with how well we are nourished generally. Then we have even more antioxidants, alpha lipoic acid and coenzyme Q10. These are produced by our cells, but unfortunately, by the time we reach the age of about 30, between 30 and 50 years old, the production of, for example, coenzyme Q10 has dropped to less than 50%. And so one has to look at ways to resupply or to enhance its production. Please note that biochemical processes naturally lead to formation of free radicals by the cells. And under normal circumstances, the body can keep them in check if everything is normal and well provided for. And then not all free radicals are bad. Okay? For example, some are produced by the immune system to destroy viruses and bacteria and to trigger the formation of hormones and enzymes that are important for life. And also, if there is excessive free radical formation that is overwhelming, damage to the cells and tissues can occur. Now, once there's that trend starts, once there's a tendency for the presence of lots of free radicals, they will stimulate the formation of even more free radicals, and this leads to damage. So one has to find a happy balance somewhere, and I think the answer is in providing adequate antioxidants. So damage that free radicals cause, and this is actually how cancers start to develop. They cause alteration to the way in which cells code genetic material. And you know, previously we were taught that many cancers are genetic, and you know, once there is a tendency for somebody in the family to develop a cancer, other people will develop it. That may be so. However, there's the concept of epigenetics. In other words, other things apart from genetic factors, things like the environment that we are discussing now, that might unleash that tendency to develop that cancer. So knowing that is good information for how we protect ourselves. And then also, free radicals cause changes in protein structure due to errors in protein synthesis. And then the immune system might see these altered proteins as a foreign substance, and then the immune system will try frantically to destroy that foreign substance. And that can lead to the damage that can result in the development of a cancer. And then, of course, formation of mutated protein can eventually damage the immune system itself and can lead to situations such as leukemia and other types of cancer and other types of diseases as well. So When there is overwhelming free radicals, there might be direct damage to the cell membrane itself, especially if that cell membrane is vulnerable. And this leads to fluid retention in the cells, and that will be followed by damage of those cells. The cell can actually literally pop due to fluid retention. And it also leads to accelerated aging. So now, what do we do about it? Yes, I just want to remind us that our body will respond with all these symptoms. And unfortunately, our training as medical practitioners was that we were trained to address the symptoms and not really go down to the root cause. And that is now why I'm so passionate about nutrition and lifestyle, because by addressing the root cause and by being aware to begin with, rather than thinking that the symptoms are the disease condition, we become aware that no, the symptoms are the body's language to us, and the body is trying to really say something to us. So we just need to pay attention, okay? So we must ask the right questions to get the right answers so that we can give appropriate advice and get real results. But where are we now? And this is what I've just been saying. There are more medications being used to manage acute and chronic diseases than ever before. And in my humble opinion, this may actually be adding to the burden of free radicals that ultimately lead to a lot of inflammation and oxidative damage, and ultimately, the topic for today, cancer. But I don't want to dwell too much on that. We want to talk about how to prevent it. But before we do, overwhelming and chronic exposure to free radicals can lead to these conditions. And that is why it is important to have good antioxidants on board all the time. Okay, 8 ways chronic inflammation can damage your body: memory loss and cognitive decline. That happens as we grow older. It shouldn't, though. I really insist that it shouldn't. Increased cardiovascular risk. Cardiovascular diseases are the commonest chronic, non-communicable or lifestyle diseases in the world today. And then abnormal growth of healthy cells. That is the definition of cancer. And then compromised digestive function. A lot of people have compromised digestive function. And once the digestive system is not functioning very well, all the other systems are affected. And that's why a long time ago, thousands of years ago, Hippocrates actually said, all disease begins in the gut. And then, of course, other things like loss of muscle tone, weight gain, accelerated skin aging that is visible, and joint pains and loss of mobility. So by making sure that antioxidants are supplied, we can make a difference. So this is the question: what can I do to make a difference? And this is a question I want each one of us to ask ourselves. What can I do? And the answer to that, I think, is to take greater responsibility and to teach others to do the same. So I'd like to introduce you to what we call a family, and this particular family is on a mission to make the world healthier and happier. I was introduced to this family a few years ago, and I'll tell you the story as we go along. But everybody is blessed, and we have access, and we need to choose to consult these 6 best doctors, fresh air, exercise, good quality water. We need to rest. I've talked about the importance of good quality sleep. And of course, healthy food and sun. All those we need to become really super proactive about choosing correctly. And then, this is perhaps the beginning of my story. The environment matters. Now, a while ago, after being horrified by what we were taught in medical school, particularly in pharmacology, I actually looked at a lot of the side effects of medications that I was expected to be using on my patients. And that started a trend for me to actually look beyond the medications and look at the cleaning products that I was introducing to my home. And I started hunting because I was horrified at all those chemical names, many of which I didn't understand. Some I would try and look up and, oh well. So I started hunting for things that were environment friendly, in the sense that they were 100% biodegradable and safe, because I wanted to raise my children in a safe environment. And that's when I was introduced to this range of products that is versatile, very economical, totally non-toxic. It saves the planet in the sense that you save water and you are not adding to the toxic burden. And when we say biodegradable, once they go out into the environment, bacteria will break these products down and they will return to the natural state, as opposed to other chemical things that actively destroy bacteria in the soils. And that's why our soils are unable to sustain us very well, because all the nutrients that bacteria would be participating in creating have been destroyed. Okay, so that is where my passion started. And so I discovered this range of products. It also has an amazing laundry compound, and these are the attributes that I like about it. It is very, very economical. You use very little because it doesn't have fillers that would otherwise create situations such as allergies and asthma and hormone disruption. It doesn't have phthalates and other hormone disrupting chemicals. And it is 100% biodegradable. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to understand that there are diseases such as diabetes that are on the increase. We need to know today that a lot of those diseases are as a result of the things that we are bringing into our homes and creating havoc, such as hormone disruption in our bodies. But let me not jump the gun too far and talk about a good reason to use supplements, apart from the fact that the soils have been depleted of good nutrients. You know, if the body doesn't have sufficient amounts of calcium, as an example, or sufficient amounts of zinc, and other minerals, then the danger there is that lead and other heavy metals can become quite toxic. Environmental lead and other heavy metals can be quite toxic to an individual because they are absorbed a lot more because of lack of nutritive minerals and other nutrients. So we have to always remember that, yes, we might be 60-something, but we have children and grandchildren to remember, and other people as well. So let me gently introduce some supplements that you can get access to. And this is actually an invitation to each one of you who is not in the family yet to consider the reason that to consider supplementation for the reasons that I have given. We are supposed to eat a lot more fruits and vegetables in order to get antioxidants. I've explained why antioxidants are required. But we'd have to sit all day long and spend a fortune to eat exactly what we need to get that complement of antioxidants. So we have supplements that we want to introduce you to. Carotenoid complex is a blend of carotenoid-rich extracts that are from these fruits and vegetables that are around this bottle. And they have been shown to protect the cells and slow down the aging process by 44% and increase the immune capability by a whopping 37% in a short time, as short as 20 days. And we have them available for children as well. But as people grow older, they might prefer to use the children's versions. Then we also have Core Nutrition. This company called Neolife has Core Nutrition, and I'll just break that down quickly. We have whole grains. Now, the importance of whole grains, I talked about the vulnerability of the cell membrane, and therefore it's allowing a lot of toxins into it. Well, what has happened is that due to food processing that happened a long time ago, we are no longer getting whole grain oils. And we don't even get other protective nutrients that we just mentioned, like carotenoids, and we don't get enough of the omega-3 oils. Our diets are full of omega-6 that is very inflammatory. So we have a product or a range of products that can take care of our energy needs, immunity, inflammation, and help the cells to recover and to have good resilience. And then water-soluble antioxidants. Very, very important to protect our eyes, the salivary glands, sinuses, lungs, kidneys, bladder, the circulatory system, and the lymphatic system. All areas that can potentially develop cancer because of lack of sufficient antioxidants. So we have them, and vitamin C is a very crucial antioxidant. A lot of people think that they take enough, but because these are water soluble, it is difficult to keep up with the requirements. So our recommendation is to supplement. And then cruciferous compounds, okay? These are protective against hormone-mediated cancers, such as prostate, which is common as people grow older, breast, ovarian, cervical, lung, and colon. Now, these are dread diseases that we don't wish upon ourselves or on anybody. But unfortunately, if we don't have sufficient amounts of protective nutrients, then yes, it is possible to come down with them. So it is important also to have enough cruciferous compounds to protect against endometriosis in women and fibroids as well. And where do we get cruciferous compounds from? Things like broccoli, radishes, cauliflower, kale, black and brown mustard, watercress, things that we don't commonly eat. That's the point of this discussion. We don't commonly eat these things, and yet we need them. Cruciferous compounds also enhance detoxification And if we are not detoxing properly, that is the way cancers can also be promoted. So we have a pack called Fighter Defense, which you can learn about later on. And I just want to now introduce you to a group of scientists called the Scientific Advisory Board that the Neolife family is so privileged to have. The Scientific Advisory Board was established by a gentleman called Dr. Arthur First. He was a top toxicologist and pharmacologist and cancer researcher. In fact, he is famous for having been the pioneer of oral cancer treatment, oral chemotherapy. Well, he came to Neolife in the 70s, in the mid-70s. He established the Scientific Advisory Board. You just need to understand that Neolife has been in existence since 1958. So Arthur First joined Neolife, moved away from his career because he had declared that cancer can be prevented by good nutrition. That was quite a brave declaration. So all his sponsorships said, well, we are not sure that we want to do that. So he came across to Neolife and established the Scientific Advisory Board. Now, the ethic of the board is that everything has to be, everything has to be based in nature and backed by science. And every nutrition is at a cellular level. As I've mentioned, we are made out of trillions of cells. Each cell is a unit that has to be fed, it has to be protected, it has to do some work, and that's hence the mitochondria do the work inside the cell. It has to excrete properly to get rid of the nutrients, the waste matter. So it has to allow nutrients in and waste matter out. And importantly, it has to be able to die decently. Because if it doesn't die decently, that is actually the definition of the production or the beginning of a cancer. So we are very, very privileged to have this board of scientists with their ethic. And Dr. Arthur First's first product that he created or he put together out of real food and used it as the antidote for chemotherapy, the very chemotherapy that he had pioneered, is called Beta-Guard. We have it to this day, and it is a very amazing detoxifier. It contains vitamins, whole food-based antioxidants, minerals, and it is part of our detox program. So just to explain, a healthy cell should be able to allow nutrients in and waste matter out. Unfortunately, modern lifestyle has created unhealthy cells, as we have spent most of the presentation discussing. And the solution that we have is called TRINN. Those are grain oil concentrates that have been encapsulated since we don't get them anymore. So this company has this very unique product that is life-changing because it then feeds the cells, the cell membrane, allowing it to function properly as well, and to reproduce another cell accurately, and avoids the challenge of the toxins that would otherwise accumulate. So it is our foundational product. And I got so excited when I joined this family. I actually went back to my biochemistry and physiology books that we had at medical school, and I indeed found that the constituents of this product called TRINN are what our cell membranes are supposed to be made of. And so using this product, it will replenish and will repair and replace all the junk fats that are accumulated, and then the cells will become healthier. And it also improves nutrient utilization. And it feeds the mitochondria so that the cells are able to produce energy properly. And that is one thing that people will feel more energetic. And we talked about digestive issues that arise from loss of cellular energy, constipation, or some dysfunction of the gut. That is another thing that people often come back to us and say, hey, I had that problem and now I am so much better. So it is important to detox regularly, because by detoxing regularly, you cleanse out the lymphatic system. And that is so crucial. We've said this is a common place for cancers called lymphomas to develop. So we also have other supplements such as minerals and vitamins. We have synergy and variety for great health. We have these products. I've mentioned CoQ10 that declines quite rapidly as we age, so you can supplement that. We have things like vitamin E to improve our blood supply to tissues. We have this one called Botanical Balance. Now, a lot of people will wait to develop diabetes before using these products. And I think that is where I am appealing to each one of us to say, don't wait for disease processes to set in. These are nutrition supplements to bridge dietary gaps. This particular one, Botanical Balance, has alpha lipoic acid that I mentioned with CoQ10 as being important for our cells to function properly. So you might want to start using these ones. And I, for one, for myself, if I can speak for myself, when I started using these two products, among the others that I've been using, when I included them, I managed my weight way better. I used to be quite overweight, and now I have managed my weight, and at my age, I am very happy that I have good weight management. That is one of the things that is important. Okay, then omega-3, just to say that it will control inflammation. That is the reason I wanted to show this slide. And we've shown that inflammation is one of the reasons that people may develop cancer as time goes on. And then keeping blood sugar controlled. This is the other part of the core nutrition. It's called a shake, Neolife Shake. It controls blood sugar in a narrow range, and a lot of people need to hear this. Developing cancer is as a result of, among other things, poor blood sugar control. Because, yeah, that is one of the things, and we are seeing a lot of people with diabetes, and if they're followed up after some years, they tend to come down with one or other malignancy. So, welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm going to stop the share and invite you to have a few minutes. We are a small group, so if you would like to ask any questions, you are welcome to do so. Thank you. And Irene, thank you for this initiative. I just want to call you out. So I think you are able to unmute yourselves. because when I bumped out, yes, you can unmute.